Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Ken.
And my name's Richard.
And this is Don't Blame Jesus. Today we're talking about the protection of God.
Yeah. So there's a number of different reasons why I was thinking about this. Just some of the different characteristics of God, and just to lean into those, and just our relationship that we have with God. And with that, not just for believers, but for those who would believe. Or even for those that don't. I mean, God pours out his grace and opportunity, and he gives rain, both the good and the bad, but he also he protects and provides people more of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Recently we met up with our former youth pastor.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
And so he had asked us questions about what did you learn in the last whatever, how many years, and it was interesting. Your dad started sharing stories that I didn't know. I had no idea about any of it.
I'd heard like the Reader's Digest version, but I never heard like the
full
version.
Full extended thing. And I knew that your dad had come to faith on an Easter, but I didn't know what the backstory was and why. And so we were talking about that today. And part of it was God's protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you want to explain any of that?
I think honestly,
do you want me to tell the story and then you correct me?
No, because it'd be the same thing. If I tell the story, you'd have to correct me because I don't feel like it's like that was the first time I actually heard the full version.
Yeah. Well, I can share some of it. I mean, if need be, because I was
just try and figure out what we can contribute to like the memory.
I was awestruck in part of it. Part of it absolutely made sense because your dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And just that he'd been a pilot. Yeah. My folks had both trained for being a pilot. My dad was a pilot.
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard the part about your dad ferrying Cessnas across the nation from their factory out to the West Coast.
Yeah, Wichita, Kansas, out to Los Angeles.
And the number of sketchy times with clouds and whatever, and the one where the wind was so bad that they're down low and they're following the freeway and they're getting passed by semi trucks on the freeway.
Yes.
And it's like, it's airspeed, right? Otherwise they'd fall out of the sky. But but if you're not making any progress and you get to the airport on fumes, that's pretty sketchy. And then of course the whole wild story of when he got leave and somebody had a sailboat. Let me back up. For those who don't know, your dad was stationed in England, Laken
Heath Air Force Base,
right. And so somebody has access to a boat, and they're like, "Hey, let's take the boat, and we're going to go to Holland this weekend. This will be fun."
Yeah,
and no one knows how to sail, and then just go for it.
Yeah,
right. Which is just the wildest thing. And so, how sketchy and
across the English Channel,
and they arrive, except no one's speaking Dutch; they're speaking French because they've missed. And that's scary enough if your navigation skills are that good when it comes to boats, right? Obviously, he's much better with planes. And then trying to get back and getting into a storm, and then SOS. And waves crashing over, and all the different things that they're trying to do to keep the boat moving. And what was the horrible thing? Lying on their belly to have to hold part of the engine together so that it'll keep it running, and they could only do it for so long before they got seasick. And the other guy
seasick, and you're down in the hold with the fumes, just trying to keep your finger on the button and keep it running. Don't breathe, keep it running.
Yes, and what was it? So a tanker or something like that swings around and is able to,
tow him
to a light boat.
Yeah.
Where then lifeboats are able to come and but and he figured this was it. He figured he was going to get washed over.
Oh yeah.
And that happens. I mean, people do get washed out to sea and never seen again.
Yeah.
And so, so I guess there was a number of different ones, and there's probably other stories too.
Yeah. Well, and I think honestly, part of the reason why I haven't heard a lot of these stories before now is because, my mom was very afraid as a young woman, as a young married woman. And before she came to Christ, she was just very fearful. And so these stories, Dad did not tell her the details of these stories, because it would just make her worry, and she'd be like, "Oh, you can't fly planes anymore." You
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. He's gonna have to stop all of his adventures.
I mean, I think that's partly why I never heard a lot of this stuff.
Right. And I knew that your dad had come to Christ, like I said, on Easter.
Yeah.
And so, with that, I know that you and your mom then were out of town.
Yeah,
and so,
we went to Southern California to visit family.
Right.
And so he was alone.
Well, but his brother's there, because his brother's is running the worship service, a special worship service for Easter.
Yeah.
And so there's an altar call that's given, and your dad responds to that and says to God, I want to believe, show me that you're real. And as if an audible voice says to him, basically, look at all the different times I've saved your life.
Yeah.
Do you need me to show you that I'm more real than that? Right. And so, and God does that, and God does save again and again and again. One that was interesting, because God saves people beforehand and giving them opportunity. The director of Inverness Youth for Christ had shared a story when he was young, and maybe I'm butchering it, but I'm trying not to, where he's out hiking, and he gets himself in some sort of situation. This is life-threatening situation, and I don't know all of that, but he's going to die. He is worried that this is it, and that nobody's going to find him. And somehow, some way, his camera ends up rolling all the way down the hill and lands on a path, and then whoever comes along is going, there must be somebody who needs help. This camera is like,
this is a decent camera.
So what in the world is it doing out here? There must be somebody around, or some sort of something.
Yeah. And
that those circumstances, God uses those circumstances to save his life.
Yeah.
And God does that. One that was interesting, we have a friend of the show. And I talked with him this morning, his nickname was Ghost, and he served in the military, and he served in Iraq, and I asked him about the story. I want to make sure I got this right. So he's telling me that at that point his job is Overwatch, and so he's up on this tall building in Iraq somewhere, and he's looking over the battlefield, and he hears out loud, "Duck stupid," and he's by himself. Okay, but he hears out loud, "Duck stupid," and fortunately he does. Right, like he looks around to see who's telling him, but then he ducks, because he said, otherwise I would have taken an RGB to the face. I mean, it would have taken his head off. Not the explosion. It would have just been like full blown hit by like an RPG. I'm not sure how big it is. I've only seen pictures of them. But it's a massive,
projectile big enough to harm you hard.
Yeah, well, rocket propelled grenade. Yeah. So it's got the rocket. It's got the grenade.
Well, I mean, rocket propelled stone is going to do enough damage.
Absolutely.
Let alone a grenade.
Oh my gosh. So and it's like, well, that doesn't seem very nice for God to say something like, call you stupid. Like, whatever it takes to get your attention right there and then to save your life, right?
Well, yeah, he wants you to hear it as if it's like someone that you would like be relating to.
You would listen to. He will speak.
Behold, unto thee ducketh thine head, for RPG cometh your direction. I mean, what the heck? That's not going to be what it's going to be.
It's too long. And so, but yeah, God does protect us, and He watches out over us. Yeah. And so, the passage that I wanted us to look at is in Psalm 91. And I love this passage. I actually have a blanket that I sleep under that has this passage on it. And it says, "Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust in Him. For He will rescue me from every trap and protect me from deadly disease. He will cover you with His feathers. He will shelter you with His wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor the arrow that flies in the day. Do not dread the disease that stalks in darkness, nor the disaster that strikes at midday. Though 1,000 fall at your side and 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. Just open your eyes and see how the wicked are punished. I will make the Lord your refuge. If you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you, no plague will come near your home. For He will order His angels to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you up with their hands so that you won't even hurt your foot on a stone. You will trample upon lions and cobras. You will crush fierce lions and serpents under your feet. The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me. I will protect those who trust in my name. When they call on me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue and honor them. I will reward them with a long life and give them my salvation. Mm-hmm. So one that's fun with this passage. We did a pick guard for a buddy of mine. And so the Wycliffe Bible translation, which is a very early English translation, talks about the fiend at I want to say at midday, and
in the same passage.
You want to
pull it up?
Let's just pull it up, because it's hilarious. But I want to pull it up because of the nuances.
So Wycliffe's Bible with modern spelling?
Yes, it is.
Okay, there we go.
Yes. And just go down until you get to the I'll say the tasty bits. With the parts that are going, wait a second. That's different than what I thought I just heard.
Okay. Shall I just read the whole thing? Here we go.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. This is going to be interesting. I'm looking at this going.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
He that dwelleth in the help of the highest God shall dwell in the protection of God of heaven. He shall say to the Lord, Thou art mine uptaker and my refuge. My God, I shall hope in Him. For He delivered me from the snare of hunters and from a sharp sword. With His shoulders, wait a second. For He delivered me from the snare of hunters and from a sharp word. Sharp word. Maybe He's like keeping people from talking bad about Him.
I don't know.
I guess maybe.
Okay.
With His shoulders He shall make shadow to thee, and thou shalt have hope under His feathers. His truth shall encompass thee with a shield. Thou shalt not dread of the night's dread, of an arrow flying in the day, of a goblin going in darkness, of a sailing, and of a midday fiend. 1,000 shall fall down from thy side, and 10,000 from thy right side. Forsooth, it shall not nigh to thee. Nevertheless, thou shalt behold with thine eyes, and thou shalt see the yielding of sinners. For thou, Lord, art mine hope. Thou hast set thine help to be the alder highest. Evil shall not come to thee, and a scourge shall not come nigh to thy tabernacle. For God hath commanded to His angels of thee, that they keepeth thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee in thy hands, lest peradventure thou hurt thy foot on a stone. Thou shalt go upon a snake and a cockatrice, and thou shalt defoul a lion and a dragon. For God said, For he hoped in me, I shall deliver him. I shall defend him, for he knew my name. He cried to me, and I shall hear him. I am with him in tribulation. I shall deliver him, and I shall glorify him. I shall fulfill him with the length of days, and I shall show my health to him. Wow.
Right. Okay. So I had to look up a cockatrice. And maybe want to put up a graphic of a cockatrice.
Wow, maybe we have that pick guard. We can throw that on screen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So anyway, so the cockatrice is this weird creature, part dragon, part rooster. Roosters can be pretty darn mean sometimes.
I'll tell you what, they're small, but they're mighty.
Yes, and if they were big
trouble, dude.
Big trouble. And so, so with that. Going, what do I do with some of these words? Because they're not regular threats that I'm used to, right? Dragon. Yes. There's much less like, I'd say the natural world kind of threats. With that being said, how many things does naturalism just not be able to answer?
Yeah.
Because there's a spiritual reality out there of all sorts of different things that naturalism can't explain why in the world it's there.
Right.
It just has to go. We don't get it. Well, we won't say that we don't get it, but we'll just deny it.
It can't be real because it's not scientific.
Yes. And so even though it happens.
Yeah.
Right. So with those strange creatures, I'm going to say that they're spiritual something. We know that there are spiritual evil forces out there that would love to defeat us and cause us harm. Right. So however you describe them. All right. If they're described that way, that's fine. All I know is God's protecting me from physical, spiritual, whatever kind of harm that could be coming my way.
Yeah.
Whether it's warfare, whether it's disease, whatever it is. And I need that.
Yeah.
I need that. We live in a world that's dangerous enough that we live in a world where we have an enemy that is out there seeking whom he may devour.
Yeah.
What is it? In John 10:10, the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy.
Right.
Right. But thank God we have God protecting us and watching out and taking care of believers. Yeah. How many times, if you look back on your life, how many times has God saved you from different things where it's like?
Well, there's many times where he just kept me from doing something really stupid. I mean, that's like the
yes.
I mean, I consider that to be the same thing.
Yes.
Just, don't go that far. Stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that for sure. But I mean, kids are dumb.
Yeah. Well, and there's times where we're protected and we don't even know.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't know that the reason why we can't find our keys that day is because God wants to keep us off the road at the time.
Just for 10 minutes.
Yeah. For the time where that drunk driver goes through,
that
area. Right. Yeah. Or whatever it is.
Right.
I know that God saved me on the road. I think I've already shared about this where, I would have been in the back of a canopy of a truck that flipped over on the freeway.
Yeah.
If God hadn't been.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Working out things. So that didn't end up happening. God healed me of cancer.
Yeah.
Which I find absolutely mind blowing. So many times that God has watched out and He's protected and guided and directed and moved me around different things. And He wants to do that also for other believers and for those who don't know Him yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. God does protect and provide And for those, I think, we had talked a little bit earlier, like the Ephesians passages that talk about those he foreknew, he also predestined. Like God knows, he can see all of time. He knows who's his. He knows who says yes, and he protects those people. And even people who don't say yes, he gives them chance after chance sometimes.
Opportunities.
To just I think you had used the word wooing. He woos us. He shows us the beauty of his creation. He shows us what love and fidelity and all the good things about God and Christianity and spirituality, what he's offering us, shows us all that over and over to try and win our hearts. And I mean, some people are just, they say no. There's nothing you can do about it. Free will is a dangerous business. But he does not, even for the wicked, he doesn't punish them overtly fast. I mean, I don't remember what psalm it is that talks about, I was jealous of the wrongdoer and everything he did was prosperous, but then I remembered his end, and it was kind of like, so even though God doesn't approve of their actions, he still loves them, still calls them, still offers them. And he does that even more so for those who will believe. He doesn't lose any that are his.
Yes.
Let's just say it that way.
Agreed. Well, and maybe what we need to do is slow down and just go, okay, how many times? How many times has God protected me?
Yeah.
From whether it's doing something stupid that would have wrecked our lives or doing something that would have lost us our lives.
Yeah.
I bet there's a lot of time where God's shown us grace.
Yeah.
And I love that's in 1 Peter where it talks about the manifold or the many-faceted grace of God. There's just so much to God's grace.
Yeah.
And his protection is one part of God's grace for us.
Yeah.
Anything else at this point?
No, I just, I think it's great. I think it's great that God understands how fragile we are and he really goes the extra mile to save us and to lead us to his grace. I just think, man, if God was what's the right way to say this? A vicious, rule-keeping, guy who was just so worried about performance and everything else, nobody'd have a chance.
Right.
And by giving us grace, he is just, we talked about this a little bit. The grace of salvation is so radically unbalanced.
It is.
He has given us everything in spite, before we knew him, while we were still sinners, he died for us.
Right.
And then he loves us and he died for all. Just like you keep weighing the scale down.
Because grace is unmerited favor.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I need to merit it. Like, no. You don't, it'll never be, you never merit it.
No,
never.
No. And we don't contribute.
No.
We simply say yes and we take it. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
And we can enjoy it and say thank you, but that's what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, gosh, I think that was pretty good.
Long enough.
Well, long enough, but I don't think we want to keep going.
No, I think it ministers to the needs of the people.
Yeah.
Gives them a morsel to be able to chew on during this next week.
Yeah, definitely. Well, think about those things. And if there's been any experiences in your life where God has saved you and you'd like to share that in the comments.
Yeah, please do. That would be great.
That would be great. I'm sure other people would love to, see and hear
your testimony in a sense.
It really does impact others. So go ahead and do that. And we hope that we've ministered in some way to you and been an encouragement. But if you did hear us say anything stupid, remember, don't blame Jesus. That was our fault.
Yes.
And we will see you on the next episode.